Hi you guys, hello and welcome. I hope you all are having a wonderful day. It's beautiful today. I've been having a really good day emotionally, physically, spiritually. It's just been great. I wanted to show you this. This is Polemonium or Jacob's Ladder. So forgive this chaotic filming location. I had to pot this up because my rabbit kept on eating it. So that wasn't super fun. But this is Polemonium, also known as Jacob's Ladder. So it's called Jacob's Ladder because the way that the leaves sort of zigzag in this interesting pinnate fashion are reminiscent of Jacob's vision in the book of Genesis in the Bible of a stairway to heaven. So that's how it gets its name, Jacob's Ladder. So Polemonium is in the family Polemoniaceae. It's related to the blue sky pilot flower, which is really, really cool. Highly recommend you guys look that up. But yeah, this I believe is Polemonium, begins with the letter A. I can't remember off the top of my head. But most cultivated varieties are actually Polemonium reptans, and they tend to come in these kind of darker, cooler colors. So you're going to look at purples and blues. So Polemonium, wherever you are in the world, excluding the high Arctic and more temperate regions, you're going to find a variety that's suitable for your area. This Jacob's Ladder happens to be native to the Pacific Northwest, so I always look for more native plants. I know some people were a little bit mad at my video on, what was that video on? Pachysandra, because it's not a native plant, but you know, my philosophy is that if you can cultivate something responsibly and keep it within zones and not let it go to seed, it ends up being fine. Just my personal opinion. Anyways, so this over here is Polemonium. Rabbits, deers, it's marketed as being rabbit, deer, rodent resistant. I call complete BS to that because they go after this like crazy. So Polemonium's not my favorite plant, admittedly, for growing. I really love the way that it blooms. I love the way that it looks. I love that it attracts pollinators, really popular with the bees, but it's a bit of a pain in the butt. And that's because it likes to constantly be moist, and it likes it to be very, very cool, abruptly in the fall, October, November, and then it likes for it to stay cool until mid-spring, and then it appreciates shade but warm temperatures in the summer, which is a really weird combination. But I think that it really pays dividends in how it looks. So the keys to success with Polemonium are to prune them back after their first flush of blooms, which happens typically April, May, and then they'll give you more vegetative growth. And then this vegetative growth can be grown well into September, October. So Polemonium, another thing that really bothers me about this plant, and I feel bad because I'm kind of crap talking it, but the stems are very, very kind of flimsy. They almost remind me, they're kind of brittle. They almost remind me of like members of the Lamiaceae family, because they have this kind of square-shaped stem that cracks really, really easily, even with the wind. Polemonium's really nice. Not a lot of people know this, but the flowers actually make a really, really nice dye. It's a very kind of muted blue, kind of mauve color. Really good if you make art with rice paper. It makes like a watercolor paint. Polemonium, to my knowledge, is not toxic, but I still wouldn't recommend consuming it. Definitely more of an ornamental plant. Polemonium is a perennial. It's a what I would call a medium-lived lifespan perennial, because it tends to kind of fizzle out after about 5-6 years. See, this guy's trying to eat it right now. No. But yeah, Polemonium comes in different heights. On average, it'll be about 2 feet tall. Sometimes a little bit taller, like 3, kind of even 4 feet tall in some of the niche varieties. It's not a heavy feeding plant at all whatsoever. No real need to fertilize these guys. Some problems that people will have with them is they'll start to go yellow. When they go yellow, that's typically watering stress. They really do resent being in boggy soil, but they also resent being dry. This is a very good companion plant to hostas, because they require that same kind of dappled shade but warm temperatures in the summer. It's a herbaceous perennial, so it'll die all the way back down to the crown. It's an ephemeral plant, which means that it's only around for, a certain amount of time, and then it goes quite dormant to the point where it's invisible in the garden. So think like poppies, for example. But don't dismay, it will come back. This is one of those plants that's a little bit later to emerge as far as the perennial garden goes in the spring. So if you don't see it, just give it some time. Best time in my experience to divide these is more like August, September, kind of around that second flush of bloom. So you don't want to do it too late because then it gets kind of freeze shocked. It gets like flash freeze. Really interesting varieties coming out. One of them is Hurricane Ridge that I really want to try. There's variegated Polemonium too. As far as deadheading, I wouldn't recommend deadheading individual flowers. I would wait for this whole entire stalk to kind of go off. And then I would deadhead it down to about here. Deadheading it down to your next node with a lateral shoot, and you should get a new flush of blooms here. After which, I would deadhead it all the way down to the crown. The leaves do emerge basally, which is really quite interesting. Very fibrous root system. This is a plant that also appreciates lots of space for its root system, so try not to grow it in too shallow of a pot. Yeah, this Polemonium that are native to Alaska, Yukon, Northwest Territories, they go way up north. Some of the varieties are cold hardy to like -40, which is insane. The hybridized varieties and the ones with the purple tinge and the variegated ones are nowhere near as hardy. But yeah, that's Polemonium. Not a heavy feeder. Likes dappled shade. It does not do well. It gets a little bit burnt in full sun. You want to divide this in the late summer. It blooms in April, May, and then again in September. You want to regularly cut it back. You don't want to let it dry out. So that's Polemonium, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Yeah, stay blessed.